Alrighty, we're back on our exponent series, and we've already learned all the exponent rules or the exponent laws, depending on how your teacher is teaching them. But the problem is, we've taken each rule individually and learned how to use that rule. In real life and in your tests and your quizzes, you're going to see multiple rules coming into play during the same problem. So that's what this video is going to try to address is when you get these big crazy problems. So we're going to start off, here's the basic bare bones, easy talk, easy speak, 8 steps on how to do these rules the way I teach them in my class. It's not exactly textbook talk, and there's a couple liberties that I've taken, but I think if you walk through these 8 steps and use the laws the way you've learned them, that they will make sense to you. And we're going to pick 3 problems and do them for you to see if they do in fact make sense. If you need to pause the video to jot these down in your notebooks or take some notes, by all means do that. And I'm going to roll on to the first one. First one is actually kind of a simple law, and we're going to go through each step. First step, can they easily simplify inside the parentheses? And on this particular problem, there's nothing inside the parentheses that I need to worry about. So we're going to say that rule number 1 is in fact done. Second one, are there exponents outside of the parentheses? Here, in fact, I do have a 2 floating up there, so I have to distribute this 2, and I'm going to distribute it to the y, the x, and to the 5. So if I were to do that, I would have 5 squared, x, I'm going to multiply the exponents, so that's going to be a negative 6, and y to the 4th to the 2nd, multiply, gives me an 8, and on the bottom, that leaves me with a 5x negative 4th. And I think with that, there's no more parentheses and there's no more exponents outside, so number 2 is done. Number 3, are we multiplying expressions? No, there's not another fraction that we're multiplying this by, so we're going to ignore this one here. Number 4 is something that I like to do early, and that's get rid of any negative exponents. So what I'm going to do is this x to the 6, I'm going to get rid of that, bring that down there as a positive 6. And down here I have an x to the negative 4th. I'm going to bring that up as a positive exponent, and that takes care of rule number 4. Now 5, 6, and 7, I call that the SNL rules. Saturday Night Live is what I'm constantly repeating in class, but it's signs, numbers, and letters. Number 5 is I want to look at my signs, and I'm going to go straight to my answer here. So all my answers are probably going to be fractions. And my signs, well, everything in my numerator is positive, and everything in my denominator is also positive. So my signs are going to be positive, so I'm just going to actually leave that as positive. My numbers, well, I have 5 to the 2nd power and 5 to the 1st, so I can actually cancel them and say I'm going to take a 5 out of there. That leaves 1 there, and I'm going to take a 5 out of there. So that leaves me with a 5 on top. The other thing I could do is ask myself, where do I have more 5s, the top or the bottom? And in fact, I had more on the top. How many more? 1 more. So now I'm going to go, my 5s are done. I'm going to go to my y's here, and I'm going to keep asking myself the 2 questions as I go through the, now actually I'm on the letters now, number 7. Where do I have more y's, top or bottom? Certainly the top. How many more? 8 more. Where do I have more x's? Bottom. How many more? 2 more. Y's, x's done. So I just ran through 5, 6, and 7. And of course, rule number 8. I'm just going to step back, double check my answer, make sure I'm totally simplified. I didn't leave anything hanging, and it looks good. So my final answer is 5y to the 8th over x to the 2nd. Now here I am multiplying 2 things, and I'm just going to run through the same rules. So can I easily simplify things inside the parentheses? My parentheses right here, nothing to be simplified, so rule number 1, done. Rule number 2, are there any exponents outside the parentheses? And in fact, I do have a 2 out there, so I'm going to distribute that to the y, to the x, and to the negative 3. And it is a negative 3 since it's inside the exponents, so negative 3 squared x to the 4th, because I'm multiplying the exponents, and y to the 6th, 3 times 2. And on the bottom, that leaves me 36 x, y, z to the negative 3. And now I'm done that one. Now here's where rule number 3 comes in. Are you multiplying two rational expressions? And I definitely am. So my suggestion is treat them as one big expression. So I have a 6x to the 4th, y to the negative 4th, because don't forget this is over 1. So I'm just going to bring that right into my fraction, because if I multiply, I'm going to go straight through the top anyway. I multiply that, and then go straight through the bottom anyway, and multiply that, and it's going to be one big fraction anyway. So let's just cut to the chase and get it done. And number 4, get rid of any negative exponents. Well, I have a y to the negative 4th there, so I'm going to bring that downstairs. That means that's gone. And I have a z to the negative 3 downstairs, so I'm going to bring that up as a positive 3. And then that's gone. And that's all my negative exponents. So now rules 5, 6, and 7, my SNL, my numbers. Well, I have a 6 there. I can take a 6 out of there, and I can take a 6 out of my 36 for a 6. I have a 6 and a negative 3. So really, isn't this negative 3 times negative 3 since it's squared? So how about if I just take this negative 3 out and turn this to a negative 2? Now that gets rid of that rule. Number 6, simplify your numbers. Actually, I just did that one. So my letters now. So let's start in on my answer. And I have a 3, and I have a 2. My signs, I have a negative over a negative, so that's just going to be a positive. And my numbers, the 3 over 2, x's. Let's tackle the x's. I have 4 there, and I have 4 there. That's 8 on top and 1 on the bottom. So when I ask myself my 2 questions, where do I have more x's? Definitely the top. And with 8 on the top and 1 on the bottom, I have 7 more. And to help myself remind me and keep this mess organized, I'm going to get rid of all my x's. Now let's move to the y's. I have 6 on the top. There's 6. And I have 1 there, and I have 4 there. So 5 on the bottom. So that means I have more on the top. How many more? 1 more. And I'm not going to write the 1 as the exponent because I just don't need it. And I'm going to cross that off. And now I just have a z to the 3rd. So there's my answer. Everything cancels out. Let me make sure I got that 2 there. So 3x to the 7th, y, z to the 3rd, all over 2. Step back, double check things, and that looks good. So that mess cleaned up okay. Here's a heavy-duty problem. This has just about everything you could possibly see in an exponent problem. First thing I'm going to do, can I simplify anything inside my parentheses? Well, I do have a 13 over a 39. I can take a 13 out of there and a 13 out of there. That leaves me a 1 and a 3. Can't see anything else that I can easily simplify. So that gets rid of step 1, but instead of dealing with a 13 and a 39, I'm only dealing with a 1 and a 3. So that's going to make things a little simpler. Are there exponents outside the parentheses for rule number 2, or step number 2? And yes, I definitely have this thing. And I got to get that 2 to everything inside these parentheses. That's going to be a bit of a job. I have my x to the negative 2. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Y to the 2 times a 2 is a 4. and k to the 8th, my exponent of 4 times the 2. All that over 3 squared, h to the 6th, and m to the 8th. The h6 came from the h to the 3rd times 2, and then the m 4th times 2. So that gave me that. So now I got everything outside the parentheses done. So am I multiplying things? I definitely am. There's another fraction here that's going to be multiplied. So I'm just going to make that all one big fraction here. Throw that there. My m6, my 7, my y to the negative 2, and a k to the negative 2. Now, here's something that you can do if this looks too overwhelming for you. One thing you can do is come over to the side and make little problems for yourself. I'm going to take my numbers, and I got a 1, 3 halves. I'm sorry, 3 to the 2nd power. I have an x to the negative 4 and no other x's, so I'll just put that over 1. I have a y to the 4th over a y to the negative 2. I have a k to the 8th over a k to the negative 2. I have an h 7th and an m 6th, h6, m to the 8th. So all I did there was rewrite everything in tiny problems. If you're not good at doing a big giant problem like this, break it down into little problems. I know everybody can do this one, and this one, and this one. So break it down into tiny problems and do it that way. You can't go wrong that way. I'm actually just going to hop back over here and jump to number 4, get rid of my negative exponents. I have an x to the negative 4th there. I'm going to bring that down. I have a k to the negative 2. I'm going to bring that up. I have a y to the negative 2. I'm going to bring that up. And I think I just got rid of all those negative exponents. So now I'm just going to go through steps 5. My signs, everything's positive, so my whole entire answer is going to be positive. I'm going to simplify my numbers. What do I have for numbers? Well, I have a 3. I have 3 times 3 here, right? 3 squared is just 3 times 3. So I'm going to steal one of those 3's away, and I'm going to steal a 3 away from that, make that a 2. So for my numbers, I have a 2 over 3. And by the way, if over here, I should have had a 6 on the top there. That would make sense for this part over here. So sorry, I left that out. And don't forget again, if what I'm doing is confusing, you can always do the simple way by breaking them all apart. So back to this part, I have my 2 over 3. And now I'm going to go to letter by letter. My y's. I have 4 y's there, 2 y's there, no y's on the bottom. So where do I have more y's? The top. How many more? 6. And I'm going to cross them out so I don't get confused. It's real important in my mind to keep crossing things out because these things do get ugly. Now I got my k here, k to the 8th, so I got 8 k's there, 2 k's there, no k's on the bottom. So how many, where do I have more k's? Top. How many? 10. And they're gone. Now I'm on my h's. I have 7 on top, 6 on the bottom. So where do I have more? Top. How many more? 1. And I don't need to write a 1 for an exponent. And now I have m's. I have 6 on the top, 8 on the bottom. So I'm going to do that. And it's 2 more on the bottom. And I think I'm done. So step 8, just step back, double check everything. And when I double check everything, notice I got this 7. That 7 came from up here, and I never did anything with that 7. So that 7 is going to come down here. So really, it's 7 times 3 is 21. So my final answer is going to be 2y to the 6th, k to the 10th, h over 21 m squared. So that's why number 8 is important, to step back and just double check things. Because if I would have forgot that 7, I would have done all that work for nothing and got the problem wrong. So always, always step back, double check. Are you simplified? Did you forget everything? Double check your crossing, because as you can see, this problem is a mess and you don't want to go through all the work and get one wrong. So that's the end of this video. It's complicated. I tried to make it simple with 8 easy, simple steps to kind of bring all those rules together. If you see anything that you liked here, just hit the like button, the subscribe button, and in the comments, if there's anything else I can do to help you out in your math class, just let me know. Thanks a bunch.